Hi everyone and welcome to This Made My Week, a show dedicated to good news and inspiring stories. And boy, do I have a story for you today. I have a guest named Savvy who's gonna tell us everything about her store where everything is free. You heard me right, everything is free, so stay tuned and let's get started. I discovered Savvy on my TikTok For You page, thank you to algorithm gods. And when I heard her talk about her store that she's been running for 4 years, I knew immediately that I wanted her to be on the show. So all of us, we could hear her story and hear from herself that it is possible to have spaces and places where we can support one another, where communities get together, where everyone feels safe, is taken care of, is nourished, etc. So I'm so excited about today's conversation for you to see it and hear it, because let me tell you, before we jumped on Zoom together with Savvy, it was on a brutal day because we had a heat wave here in Lithuania. Probably 1/5 of my brain was running and I was exhausted, tired. It was the end of the day and I was just feeling so yucky and melting into the chair. And as the conversation was going, I felt my vitality come back to me. And by the end of it, I felt so energized, inspired, empowered. I left with a bunch of tools and so much knowledge. And I felt like knowing what I can and what I should be doing to be a better community member and a member of society in general. So I'm sure that you're gonna feel everything as well by the end of this episode, so make sure to stay till the very end. The conversation was rich, deep. Savvy is so knowledgeable and she is giving already just by being present. She has this sense of abundance and this enough-ness that is so beautiful. And of course, she has so much experience and knowledge professionally. So we talked about creativity, we talked about the store, we talked about her local community, we talked about work culture, about money, like so many different things. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. It's a good one. And before we do, I wanted to really quickly share just one piece of information that totally made my week when I saw it in my local park. I was so inspired, I filmed on the spot. So check this clip out.
I hate to admit this, but we waste a lot of food actually. And this is why I'm so glad that in our local park, where me and my son, we come to play here every single day, there's a new and the first fridge in the city, and I think in Lithuania, where you can drop off the food that you haven't finished right here into this fridge, into the space. You can also bring your hygiene products that you haven't used or you don't like, or maybe you brought too many of them. So again, this is the first fridge run by volunteers and the city of Vilnius together. They provide the electricity, the city, for this fridge to go on. And there are a few coffee shops and one restaurant here in the park, and they pledged that at the end of the day, they're gonna bring all the food here also that they haven't sold. So good news, no food waste. Everyone's fed, everyone's taken care of, at least in this park. And I've heard that this fridge has been very, very popular thus far. So yay! And I'm so glad that now whenever we don't finish something, it's so close and nearby where we live, we can just come and drop some stuff off. So this is in Sapiegų parkas in Vilnius. If you're local, make sure to come and check it out and bring some food. So yay, hopefully many, many more to come.
All right, now that that's out of the way, let's jump straight into conversation with Savvy and me. Enjoy.
Hi Savvy, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad to have this conversation with you. I did the introduction about you before our conversation, so we can jump straight into the questions and save your time, because your time is precious, because you are doing incredible things. So first question, I think you get the most often, how did you come up with this genius idea? What inspired you? And Like, what was the beginning like to bring your vision to actual material form?
So I started Enough Stuff, which is the free store in Illinois, 4 years ago. But the first free store that I ever saw was like 5 years ago when I was living in Oregon. And there was a church in my neighborhood that had a free store in one of the extra rooms they had in the basement of that church. So my
Mhm.
first experience seeing like people give things away for free and then shop for things for free was in that space. But it was not handicap accessible because there was like no way to get to the basement without using stairs. And it was only open if the church was open. So like not like regular hours every day. So I was inspired to try to find a way to make this accessible to the community in like a retail space. And then COVID happened and everybody was on lockdown and everything was wild and nobody knew what was gonna happen, right? And I had some major life changes at that time as well. So I moved back to Illinois, where I'm from, and I was just like still thinking about that free store all the time.
Mm.
And I was like, if I just did it, if I just rented a retail space and saw what could happen, then I would know. It was like
Mm.
if I try to connect with all these different organizations, one of my first thoughts was like, well, maybe churches would be willing to like work together and pay the rent on a retail space. Um, but all that takes so much time, and like people have so many different views and opinions on how things like that should be run that I was like, well, what if we just skip all the like religious vibes for it and political vibes for it? And what if I just open it to the public without any strings attached?
Mm.
So I paid the rent on our retail space for 1 year out of my pocket and was like, if after a year, if it cannot support itself, then I'll just be like, cool, I could close this chapter of my life and my brain can move on from it. But if the community will support it, then I'll just continue to do it. So for that first year, I was working like remotely whenever I was in the shop. So I had a job doing graphic design remotely. And I would do that work while I was also in the shop, like sorting things and managing things. Um, and because it was COVID, things were still like kind of slow at that time, like it was pretty manageable for me to do it by myself. And within 6 months, um, people were bringing in enough money donations on our website and in person to like pay the rent. So I knew that at the very least, it could just continue to exist.
Mhm.
And so I haven't like spent any more of my own money to support the store. The community supports it. We definitely aren't like getting rich from it, but all of our monthly expenses like rent and utilities and supplies, insurance, all those things that we have to pay for every month is covered by money donations from people in the community. Yeah, it's a real
That's incredible.
miracle.
Hmm.
Yeah. So now I just see it as like, okay, we can just do this then, like the community wants it here. They've communicated that by funding it. And what that means is like, so people can come into the store and spend zero money. Like everything really is free. And many, many people do that every day. They come and they shop for free. But there's also people that like come in and they love the vision of the shop and they want to make sure this service continues to be in their community. And so they donate money and it helps balance out the differences in income for people. So if you're donating $0, it's balanced out by someone who comes in and donates $20 and doesn't take anything. And that happens all the time. Like there really are enough people who are excited about the project to support it. So it all balances out by the end of the month somehow. And it's now 4 years and we're just doing it. We're giving stuff away for free. It's amazing.
That is amazing. When I was watching you on TikTok, I was thinking sometimes I have this anxiety. I don't come from much, but I have this, my parents like, oh, you got to work hard and earn everything myself. So even I find myself in situations where I struggle to accept the help, whatever it is, if it's material or emotional, whatever, you know. So, and then I was thinking about you. How do you have this anxiety about being supported by the goodness of people? And as you said yourself, it's a miracle, that this happens every single month, that you meet your goals. And do you have anxiety about your personal life because you get paid some portion of the money to support your life? And do you have anxiety about the store? And if you do, how do you deal with it?
So I have like chosen not to have anxiety about it, right? And that like upsets people the most, I think, is that I won't worry about like how much money I'm gonna make. Um, so I make $400 a month doing administrative tasks for the shop, but 99% of what I do and what everyone else does at the shop is volunteer. Like all the organizing and the sorting, all that stuff is done by volunteers. Um, and so I also work part-time doing some stuff remotely online. Um, but I've also made very conscious decisions about the way my life is set up. So I live in a home with other people where we're all like sharing expenses. I don't have like a goal in mind for like owning my own house and for like having like separating myself from other people, um, and like owning all my own things. And I also don't have kids, and that helps too. It's like that's a huge expense, um,
But you have a
for many
dog.
people. I have two dogs, but one
Two
of them
dogs.
is here.
Yeah.
Is my little man Jordy. He's taking a little nap with me right now. Um, yeah, so yeah, dogs can be expensive too, but certainly nothing like the commitment of children and all that stuff, right? And that's important stuff. Like obviously people should have families. But it's not something I'm interested in doing, and so I live within my means. Um and and because I make those conscious choices to live in communities with other people and to share expenses, I can live on so much less money than I thought when I was like a young person growing up into adulthood. Um, so yeah, just making conscious choices to need less money means that I am also not stressed about like being promoted at work and like saving lots of money and um, like I bought a very cheap like 20-year-old car and like that's what I drive around in, and so I keep my life very simple. Um, and whenever I tell people, like, how much the shop pays me, like, that's definitely a number one question is be like, "How much money do you make?" Okay, so everything is free, but do you make a living? And I think compared to, like, what many people cost to run their lives, I do not make a living, but for my life, I do. Like, I'm not struggling, and like I said, I also work part-time online, so that helps too. But I love the simple life that I've built, and I choose not to be anxious about, whether or not the shop will ever pay me lots more, um, because what life's too short to worry about money. It's such a bummer. I know that that's a real reality for many people is to worry about money. I also grew up in a family that like didn't have a lot of money. My dad was a teacher, and so that doesn't bring in a lot of money. Um, and me and my brothers were just like expensive little kids, to keep us going in the world. Um, so I see the struggle, certainly. Um, but for where I'm at, I'm just very grateful to have the resources that I have and the simple, awesome life that I've built.
That is so beautiful. You're so inspiring, and it's so rare. And I'm wondering, have you always felt the sense of like enoughness? Like this is enough, enough stuff, enough for me, enough money? Or was it a journey for you to come to this point?
Yeah, that's definitely been a journey. Growing up, I did not feel like I had enough stuff or money. Like my family talked about that a lot, not having enough money. And generations of it. Like my grandparents still worked like well past retirement age, and And many people in my family are laborers, so they were working in like factories, or just doing like manual labor. And I think along with that comes just like not enough money and trying to get by. And so, yes, I definitely had this like family culture of like, you have to work really, really, really hard and you have to sacrifice your time and like a lot of your happiness to like just get by. Um, and as an adult, after going through like several mental breakdowns trying to keep up with like the workload, of like, I don't know if it's average people or just like culturally what we've considered to be okay amounts of work. I can't do it. I cannot keep up. Um
I
with
can
like,
relate.
yeah, like I have
Mhm.
literal like mental breakdowns and my body just shuts down and it's like, no, don't do that. Like
Yes,
my
yes.
spirit is like feels so trapped and overwhelmed. And so I've taken myself out of the rat race and simplified so much. And it has brought me so much more joy. So the freedom of living without lots of things is great. Although I still have lots of cool stuff like this shirt I got at the shop. I shop there all
Mm.
the time. Like
I would too. I would too. I love a good
yeah,
hunt. Yeah.
yeah. The,
Uh-huh.
the part of my vision for the shop is that it's not exclusive to people in need. Like this is for every person in the community to like reduce what they buy, to reduce the demands on like what people make, like
Mhm.
fast fashion and all that stuff. Um, and and for us to share things with each other no matter what our income is. So like we don't take any information like that when someone comes in the store.
Mhm.
We don't require like a lot of services that are free like that require to know your income and to know whether you're really like in need. But we
Right.
don't do that. We just say this is for the community and many people in need benefit, but also everyone else benefits as well. So
Mm.
it really is for
Yeah.
everybody.
And it sounds more like a community experience, you know? And I recently did the story on my show, This Made My Week, where I learned the news about the first free food store in Canada in Regina, Saskatchewan. And it was opened by the food bank and it's supported by churches and local communities also. But they opened this gorgeous superstore where people just can come in and shop as in any regular grocery store. And what they discovered that this way they can feed 25% more people. And also yeah, 18% of employees at the store, they're also customers at the store. So they provide employment opportunities also. And this way they can feed more people, children at schools, etc. So it's like a rippling effect that it creates. And what I love about this is that it gives people respect, agency, autonomy to choose whatever they need and want. And this is what I
Yeah.
love also about your store is that people can come and just choose, whatever they like. And you offer also free snacks for the people, which when I saw this on TikTok, I teared up a little bit. I thought this is incredible. This is amazing. Um, so do you have any observations from your 4-year long experience? What's it been like for people to receive help and support in this way? Has it like, do you sense that people are more free to ask for help and keep coming back and maybe even have the courage to ask for something more?
Yeah, so when people first come in the store, there's like a few different reactions. Some people they have just Googled like local thrift stores and they come and they don't know what they're getting themselves into. So they come in and they're just like looking for stuff at a thrift store and they're like, "Oh, nothing's priced. There's no prices. Like what does everything cost?" And I'm like, "Oh, everything's free. You could just have it. It's cool." And they have that reaction that like we were raised to have where it's like, "Oh, I can't take anything for free." They're kind of like angry at first. And they're just like, "No, I'm not going to take anything
Mhm.
for free. Like I don't take free things." I'm like, "Well, that's okay. Like you don't have to take anything. You can donate money if you want to, but like you just choose what you give." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well I'm gonna give. I'm gonna give. No, like don't worry about that." And so there's like that reaction. But if those people come back, like they get more and more comfortable over time. Because really, like, I think we're all brainwashed into this like scarcity mindset. Like a person comes in and they think that the reason I need to like earn money and pay for something is because there's not enough like t-shirts in the world. And
Ooh.
so like because there's a limited amount of t-shirts, I need to earn my shirt. And I can't just like come in and take 50 free shirts. I have to like work and then pay for one shirt. But like honestly, what I've learned in this store the past 4 years is there is like an unlimited amount of t-shirts that are already like in the earth. It's crazy. There is truly enough stuff. And if you don't come and take these things for free, they will just end up in a landfill because we're still making more t-shirts. Like we're still making more of them and it's crazy. So like the amount of stuff that will be wasted if you don't come take it is like off the charts. So seeing that like evolution in people, if they come in at first and they're shocked and then they come back and they come back, like it's really beautiful. And then there's people that come in and they're like truly in need. They've heard about the free store, it was recommended to them, and they come in and their first reaction is like one of like, do I qualify and do I deserve this? So they come in and they're like, "Hey, do I have to sign in? Do you want my ID? My name's Claire Johnson." And like they already start volunteering like personal information to me because that's what's been required to access other services in the community is to like give up a lot of private information about their income, like who lives in their household, what their name is, what their age is, where they like what their zip code, like where they live is, because many services depend on those details. And when I just say, no, 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 it's okay, it's okay. Like just take it, just take the stuff. All of this stuff is free. It always is free. We're open to the public. You can come back here anytime. And like that relief is beautiful. That relief is like the most rewarding one. When people get their like when we make space for like just dignity, like you're a human, you're welcome. You don't have to do anything to get things here. That's
Ah.
beautiful.
I'm
That's
having
great.
chills, Abby. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I never thought about it before that for people, in order to get something, they needed to give a part of themselves, like their identity and this personal information. This is such a huge takeaway from me right now. You're not asking anything in return. Like your personal sense of abundance, the energy that you radiate and share with others relaxes and it creates so much safety. Ugh, I'm just, I'm having an emotional moment. Truly, this is beautiful. What you're doing is beautiful. Ugh.
Yeah, we're gonna heal each other. Like we are
Yeah.
gonna work through that like generational trauma of like there's not enough. And
Yeah.
to the point where we're just overproducing everything. Like we're
Yes.
so into this idea that there's not enough for us that we just keep making more. But honestly, I think if we stopped making like all, especially textiles, if we just stopped making clothing today, I think the world could get by on like the excess stuff in people's closets, garages and attics and thrift stores for like, I don't know how long, but for a while, I'm
For
telling
a
you.
while. Hmm.
We actually need to go the opposite direction. We need to realize it's not just a mindset of abundance, it's like a fact. Like it's just a
Yes.
realization of like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff. That's one weird thing about our store is like so people always want to know if they can how much they can take, how many items they can take, and I'm like, it's cool, just take literally like hundreds of items, take it. Um because we have to limit donations. We have to say just one garbage bag of stuff per day from a person, because otherwise people want to bring like 30 carloads of stuff per day and we just don't have the ability or infrastructure to deal with that much stuff.
Mm.
um so we actually say please don't bring us all your stuff at once because we will be overwhelmed. And even with that rule we still get like 30 or 40 bags of stuff donated per day that we sort
Jesus,
and organize. It's so much, so
that's
much,
a lot
endless
of
amounts
stuff.
of stuff.
Mm.
It's wild.
Well, speaking about stuff, what was the craziest thing that a person has donated?
I don't think I should say. I don't like, is this a G-rated show? We'll keep it family friendly, but we've gotten some odd items. And sometimes I don't know if it's an accident or not. Like, ugh, did you mean to put this in there? Um, but many times there's things that we get that we just don't know what they are. And so like we take pictures of them and like look them up on Google. One thing recently that was confusing to us was a paper crimper. Like it
What's
all it
that?
does is you put a piece of paper in it and you turn this crank and it comes out like crimped on the other side. So it's for like crafting and
Uh-huh.
scrapbooking. But I thought it was like to make noodles. Like I thought you would put dough into one side and then you crank it through and it would come out like a lasagna noodle.
Yeah.
So I put it in the kitchen area.
Uh-huh.
I had it with like the cooking utensils. And then people kept skipping it and moving it to other places in the store. And I was like, why can't we get rid of this thing? It's clearly like a nice version of that. Like it was like heavy and like well made. I was like, why doesn't somebody want this noodle maker? And what's it doing over here on this bookshelf? And so after like a month, I Googled it and was like, it's a paper crimper. And then I
Mhm.
labeled it and then it was like gone that day.
What you were saying about work and not being able to work, I can relate so much. And I feel like what it did for me when I used to work full time, right now I'm blessed enough and lucky enough to be able to work full part time, which is the best. But when I used to work full time, I just remember those days like what vanished from my life was my creativity. There was no space for this flow and ideas and visions because pretty much every minute of my day was occupied by the stuff that I had to do, all my responsibilities. So I couldn't create anything. I couldn't have, like, good, but you know what I mean? Like, have truly meaningful relationships and experiences and be there for people and be a good friend, be a good community member. Like, that just wasn't there. So,
I don't know how people do it. I honestly don't. Like I don't succeed when I'm working full time and like trying to have a life. Like I can do one or the other. And
yes.
the expectation for workers to like just be available all the time and like to perform in like a mechanical way, to like perform the same way every day and produce the same amount of like energy and time and product consistently every day is just like it's hard. And then at the store, like the free store, I see like the effects of that on people who don't have that support network, who are like single parents, or oftentimes it's like grandparents are taking in their grandkids. Like there are
Mhm.
these generational relationships where grandparents are getting custody of kids so often. And then those grandparents who are like retirement age, they can't go produce work the way they could in their 30s and 40s. And so
Yeah.
like they really struggle to find the
Yeah.
things that they need and to live on limited incomes and provide for their family. The
Yeah.
stress is too much.
And then all the people with different abilities and their support network also. It's like it affects everyone. Yeah. This is
Yes.
why I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing and you're creating these pockets where people not only get to experience a different kind of living, but also have these conversations, raise different questions, come up with more creative ideas and really look at what we're doing with the stuff, with consumerism, with our work culture, and hopefully, but slowly but surely, we can start and shift it and change it for everybody, that it's accessible for everybody.
Yes, and I think if people have ideas and if they have the resources, I get that not everyone can do this. Um, but for those who can, and there are many of those people, I think you should do it like right now. Like I think we could achieve similar results if I'd have just like petitioned my city council and then like gone up the ladder and like gone like eventually our governor or state representative would like create this program or create that program. But like what if we just do it ourselves? What if we just like stop um in like going through like official channels, because the I think everything's like regulated to death and isn't as effective as it needs to be. I think we've helped more people by just being a community than we ever could having like an actual like from the top down program. come into town and do this. We're just freaking doing it. And I hear about people doing free garage sales, or there's a school here that has a free store in the school for kids to go shop at. Like, we can just do it ourselves, and I think we do it more effectively if we
Yes.
just do it. Yeah.
Yes, and that is so empowering. There's a lot of responsibility, but also so much empowerment in that like all of us, we have the power to make the change and to create life for ourselves where we are together, supported by one another. And I think this idea, it forces us to mature and grow up. Like, we look at these officials, presidents, like their mom and dad, and they're going to take responsibility for us. So, but turning
Mm.
into the mirror and taking that responsibility, it's like, I am my own mother, I am my own father, and I can be a part of the solution. So that's
Yes.
incredible. Hmm.
Yeah, we are powerful. Like, organizations and governments are powerful, but I think people working together on unofficial channels are more powerful. We can make decisions so much faster. We can really meet the needs much faster.
Yes. This reminds me one of my favorite quotes from Chance the Rapper when he said, "Don't believe in kings, believe in the kingdom." So this is what I believe in, the
Ooh,
kingdom. Yes.
I like that. I didn't notice that lyric before, so I love that. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so let's start wrapping this up. I'm mindful of your time. So what is your vision? And perhaps you have some suggestion what people can do to either support your store or support like their communities. Tell us, be our inspiration. Like, tell us what we can do.
Yes. So if you have extra money, you can directly support our store financially through our website, which is enough-stuff-club.com. You can make a one-time donation, or you can become a member, which is an automatic monthly donation. But also, I really hope that people do just have their own like rogue neighborhood free sales. Like, talk to your neighbors and see if you can organize a neighborhood free sale where people just put things out for free. Or if you live in an apartment building, maybe you can put a table in the hallway and just put stuff out on it for free. And we can connect with each other in important ways like that. People can bring us stuff if they happen to live in central Illinois. We take one bag of stuff per day from a person, and then we give all of that away for free. Any household goods that will sit on a shelf or hang on a clothing rack is like the size of items that we can accept. Um, and like, what I've learned from making TikToks about the shop is that people have like a million ideas and ways to create these communities where they live. And it's like not everyone has the same ideas of like how it should run, like the way that I run it. And I think that's fantastic, and you should just do it. Like, uh that that I don't have a monopoly on how to like build a strong, thriving community. I'm just like one piece of the puzzle. And that if you have ideas that are different than mine, trust that, because like you know what's best in your community. I don't know what will work in every neighborhood. And so follow your own heart and your own instincts. And um also, we do have on our TikTok page right now, there's a post about networking with people in your area. So like
Oh,
everyone just goes and posts the city that they're living in, and like that's how we find each other. Like, oh, there's like 10 people that live in Chicago. There's 10 people that live in Arizona, in this like particular city. And so if you can create these little communities of people, these little hubs, I think that the possibilities are much bigger and much stronger when we work together. So find each other. And that's just one example, this post on TikTok that we have, where you could go network.
that's
Um,
that's awesome. Can you tell us your TikTok and in general where people can find you, like all your socials, your website once again, and perhaps
yes.
you could pin the post. I don't know if you want to do it, pin the post where people can find each other.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. That's a good idea. On Facebook, people can find us Enough Stuff Club. That's our website, enough-stuff-club.com. Same thing on TikTok. We do have an Instagram account, but I have not been maintaining it, so I have no idea what's on there. Um, and then Let's see here. Oh, I also wanted to talk about our vision for the space in the future, like how we want to grow. I forgot to mention that. Right now, we have a fundraiser goal of raising $250,000 to try and buy a building. Our biggest expense every month is our rent, which is like $800 a month. And like that goes up every year. So it's an ongoing growing expense. Um, and so we've raised like $12,000 so far, which is great. And this is like a long-term 2-year goal. So it's kind of a slow and steady thing. There's no emergency for us to like buy a building this month. Um, and with that, I think that we'll be able to create a more like custom space for what we want to do for the community. So we want to have a public shower so that people that are homeless or just a lot of people have homes, but like the water isn't turned on or the electricity isn't turned on. So there's lots of levels of poverty that I've learned about that aren't as visible as like someone literally like sleeping on a sidewalk, is that there's many levels of people that are housed that are still in like real deep poverty. And so having a place where someone could come take a shower, having a washer and dryer so that we can do a little bit of laundry for people, um, and to have like an actual guest area, that's like a table and chairs and maybe like a TV, for people to like hang out and use our space as a way to like get cool in the summer months and to be warm in the winter months during our store hours. Like right now, our coffee area is like right in the middle of all the shopping area. And we want to give people a more specific space to feel like they can sit and be more welcome and relax and not just be like on display while people are shopping. Uh, and also to open another location. So hopefully we will do that. But I also remember and think like even if none of that happens, we've like already succeeded. Like we've already done the thing where we've provided this free space. And even if we never grow, I think this experiment has been a success. But we
Oh,
hope to grow. So we'll see what
success and
happens.
enough. It's been enough already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
enough success. We've had enough.
No, but yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful vision. And I want to contribute to it as well. And I encourage everybody, go donate and let's buy you a house, you and your
I know.
community.
Well, buy a building. It'll be a commercial building. So it'll
Buy
be
a
different than a house.
building.
Yes, it
Okay.
will be like a commercial building where we can put in some spaces for people to feel comfortable, but it will still be like a store.
That's incredible. Uh, Well, thank you so, so much for sharing all your wisdom. And my final question before I let you go, what has made your week or day?
Ooh, what has made my week? That's a great. Okay, let me take a second and think. Well, I know that you're in the middle of a big heat wave and that is making it hard for your brain and your body to do what you want it to do. We had a heat wave for like 2 weeks where it was like 90 to 100 degrees. Everything was so hot. And yesterday it was 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And I took my dogs to the dog park and I sat with them and the sun was shining and there were trees making shade. And after that 2 weeks of like very tough heat, it just felt like a miracle to sit outside and to just be present with them. It was like the perfect day. It was a perfect day.
Uh, Thank you so much for sharing this. What a beautiful day. And thank you once again for coming to the show, for sharing all your wisdom, all your information. I'll link everything below in the description box for people to find you. All the best to your store, Enough Stuff Club, to all of your colleagues. Have a wonderful weekend with your family and friends. And I'll see you on TikTok.
Deal.
Okay. Thanks, Abby. Bye.
Well, bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap. I really hope that you loved the conversation as much as I loved having it. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your key takeaways? What are you taking away from this conversation and how you felt watching it? And also, let me know if you know any local communities, local people who are doing similar volunteer kind of work. I feel like there are so many organizations like Savvy's, like Enough Club, Enough Stuff Club, but because they're lacking resources and support, not enough people know about it. So if we decide to be a part of solution, we can contribute by simply sharing the information. So if you have any news, just drop a comment below, and you never know who might read it and who might benefit from it. We can all co-create this, and we can all heal one another, just like Savvy said. Make sure to check Enough Stuff Club on all the socials. Check their website, check Savvy out, and check out Savvy on TikTok, because she shares so much of useful information that we haven't, had enough time to talk about in this video. But there's a lot more that you can learn from her on her TikTok. So definitely give her a follow. All the information below in the description box. And I think that's it. That's where I'm gonna end this video today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching till the very end. I am very grateful for your support. As always, you can send me an email with your good news, something that inspired you, something that made your week, and I will share it on this channel. Now, if you want more good news, you can rewatch old videos, or you can come back next week for more. I'll see you on Wednesday. Stay safe, stay well, and bye.